and at Mokongchung College of Teacher Education, Nagaland. He's done his PG in University of London, United Kingdom from 2017 to 2018. He's also done his PG in Dramatic Arts, National School of Drama, New Delhi, 2020. Placement, placement at Lewisham Youth Theatre, London, facilitate the Senior Youth Theatre Workshop Company for a performance in 2018. He has also worked as an intern supporting artist in a project with learning disability. This demonstrate Oval House, London, 2018. He volunteered and conducted a prison theatre workshop at District Jail Centre, Nagaland. He facilitated drama and education workshop for playful learning with children at Indri Government High School, Haryana. Devised ensemble performance on anti-tobacco with B.Ed students of Modern College, Kohima, Nagaland to sensitize on the World Tobacco Day 2016. He has also written and directed a socially engaged street play with the students of B.Ed Mokokchung College of Teacher Education, Nagaland. Collaborating with Nagaland Baptist Church Council, he directed a play on clean election campaign and staged at the 75 years Platinum Jubilee, Nagaland. He evolved Forum Theatre on child labor. The performance was shared to a combined audience of Kohima and Dimapur church youths, Dimapur, Nagaland. He has also conceptualized and directed the play Land Where Life is Good. The play was invited to the International Theatre Festival, New Delhi, 2016. I kindly welcome you to today's session, sir.
Thank you. Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. We can hear
Can I
you.
start now?
Yeah. Please. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I hope that we will have a fruitful discussions, and this will help us to analyze another dimensions of applied theater. I'll straight away just start with my slides. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Oh,
We can see.
thank you. So before we move on, I would like to review the first webinar we had. On the first day, Ma'am Maya Rao, she has talked about the wide range of applied theater practices. And she has highlighted that under the umbrella term of applied theater, we have theater in prison, theater in education, drama in educations, theater for local collaborations, theater in museums. So she has given us an overview of what are the dimensions of applied theater. Now, on her webinar, she strongly mentioned why is applied theater different from theater, because of the intentionality of applied theater, right? So let's try to understand what is that intentionality, right? We know that theater has been used as a tool for social empowerment from the times of ancient Greeks. We have seen, or even in our Indian context, we have seen so many theater forms that have emerged to empower communities and address different social issues. But why is that where there is a need to apply the term called applied? Yes. So I think it's because of the intentionality, as Maya has mentioned. And what is intentionality? And when she was talking about the intentionality, she mentioned that intention is shared. Right? My pain is not my only pain, but the pain is shared. Oh, sorry. So when we do applied theater, everyone has an intention. There's a commitment, a commitment towards a social or political, right? A commitment to address some issues or to create some social awareness. That's why I think the applied theater, the word applied becomes very suitable to use as an applied theater, because theater in its conventional way is it's about no it looks at the end production, which is the spectacularity, the massive spectacular productions. But in applied theater, the applied theater, it happens within. It happens within. It's about playing within, and then it has a motive, a purpose to really get into somebody's, to engage with one another, to listen to one another, to help one another, and come and develop as a cohort of community. So that what makes applied theater, the word applied in theater makes suitable for me. Now, let's try to unpack the title that I've used, theater outside of theater. Um, Theater, applied theater is just another version of regular theater, because in applied theater, we also use the forms of theater arts. It just means that we take theater outside to unglamorous space, to a very non-conventional space, with an intention to engage in different educational and social settings. Here, we also need to understand that the appropriate use of theater form is very essential in order to achieve the intention. Uh, Yesterday, webinar was on drama therapy, right? And be it drama therapy, be a psychological drama, be or drama-based learning, the commonalities of applied theater in theater is that it's oriented on practical theater. For example, if you're our friend Prasanna was mentioning about how he was taking care of that friend with different exercises, so it involves practicality, right? So it's not separate from practice. So the one thing that binds applied theater and theater together is the practice. It's always rooted on practice, and theory and practice goes hand in hand. So in applied theater, the practitioner must identify what drama content works well for his intentions, right? In my presentations, I'll also at the end, at the end of my conceptual framework of why I'm using this theater out of theater, I'll also focus my intention on applied theater as a critical pedagogy, how I've been using this applied theater in for teachers education trainings in Nagaland. To support my intention on applied theater as a critical pedagogy, I would like to read an excerpt from one of our theater practitioner scholars. He stated that the theater is taken out from the conventional mainstream theater house into various settings in communities where many members have no real experience in theater form. The theater becomes a medium for reflection, but most importantly for transformation, a theater in which new modes of being can be encountered and new possibilities for humankind can be imagined. Here, I would like to invoke an analogy of made in story by Michel D. Herschel in his book, The Practice of Everyday Life. So he says that map is map in story represents two different domains of knowledge. The map represents a very rigid and fixed structure where we perform our social reality. But the story, whereas the story is associated with our daily living, our creative experience as we move on everyday life. When we encounter people, we live in a diverse community where we rub our shoulders with different people. So this story it's a transgression. We cross border each other and meet different people and express, engage in different communities and explore our creative ways. Whereas this MAPE is more like objective. It's more disciplined. It's a hierarchical domain that is being designed for a particular community in a particular society. Yeah. So I would like to just take this metaphor, the MAPE story, because if we apply to the context, the story is something that really drives you. You want to do something different. You want to go against the norms that are constructed, and you don't want to comply to what is already being set up. It's cultural revolution that you encounter every day as you move on ahead in life. So, and this kind of story, this kind of the essence of the story leads to grassroots mobilizations. It helps to talk about identities, gender, education policies. It helps to talk about how we are being oppressed, how we are being marginalized, right? So MAPE, in simple word, MAPE is something that we are bind in our everyday life now, and story is a constant process. It's a constant process that we move on, and you cut the MAPE with the story, right? And in that cutting process, we come to a possible space of transformations, right? So applied theater as a possible transformational space. Having said that, there's a lot of context between what is actually transforming, what are we transforming, who is doing that transforming, what is measurable to evaluate. Is transformation measurable, or is it it can be accessible? How do we know that, right? So it's this in the practice of life applied theater, this is it's questionable. But having said that, transformation that I'm trying to talk about is not about physical transformations or a complete transformation. It can be a small click or a small tickle in your mind, to think. That's why we see that drama in theater makes you think. Yeah. Acoustic Ball, he says that transformation is not the physical transformation, but showing how each can think with his own head and create conversations. So applied theater is a possible space for transformation, but that doesn't mean that it will change the world. All right, it never holds the statement that applied theater will change the world, in my own opinion, but rather it says that through the facilitation of applied theater, there can be a space to have conversation. There can be a space to have dialogue, because Ball also says that democracy is dialogue, and when there is dialogue, there is chances to rethink, reimagine in the spaces we are living, in the community we are living, and create some kind of social changes that might happen in your process of your thinking. So with that, I want to connect applied theater as a critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy is a transformational-based approach to education developed by Paulo Freire in 1960 to teach illiterate adults, which we call oppressed. I think on the first webinar, Ma'am Maya, she's also talked about this Paulo Freire, And then I'm sure that in the rest of the series of webinars, many have mentioned about Ball theory and Acoustic Ball, because they are considered as the brainchild of applied theater. Of course, before the applied theater, they were also theater and education, drama and education that were existing in Europe. But how this applied really came into practice, gained popularity and came into limelight was because of this theory about this educational theory of Ball theory. He said that he emphasized that we live in a culture of silence, right? And by silence means we are being dominated by forcefully by some kind of hierarchies. And then he says that culture should be reintegrated. He tried to reintegrate the anthropological concept of culture, and insisted that people should be the maker of their own culture, and there is a change. There is a possibility of change if people work hard. Further, he comes up with this concept called conscientizations or conscious raising. So basically, this means that through the education, through this adult literacy, how do we develop a conscious rising? Because they are already live, they have already lived in a society where they have already been oppressed, where they've been already being marginalized, and they are unable to recognize how they are being, because they have already lived in that. They are already binding with that structure. So he says that how do we develop the consciousness, that how do we give them the basics educations, the basics literacy, to identify that they are being oppressed, and how this can help reform and the operations. His theory of considerations or conscious risings, it's based on the values like ethics, equality, and he defined that development is not it's not just about economic growth or class struggle, but it should connect with the values, ethics of the people. That's, according to him, is the actual development. Mapping the educational methodologies. Based on this various educational theories, there are a lot of educational methodologies that are being initiated in education these days for liberations, for education for critical thinking, education for self-development, self-growth, and self-consciousness. This methodologies was, as I've told you, you all must have heard about Acoustic Ball, was again inherited by Acoustic Ball, and he transposed this theater of the oppressed in theater practices, and through this practices, it becomes widely spread all over the globe to coin as applied theater practices, and he's also considered as the guru of applied theater practices. We see a lot of similarities of various educational ideas and Jean Piaget constructivism teaching. These days, there's strong emphasis of changing the traditional classrooms to constructivism teaching. The ideology of this route lies in the ideas of Ball theory's educational policies. even the educational reformer John Dewey, the psychologist and scholar who is widely written about playing drama and about especially learning by doing. His idea is also very much closely connected with the practice of Paulo Freire's theater for liberations, theater for social consciousness, and theater for social awareness. I would like to quote one from Jean Piaget's book. What is this? The principal goal of education in the school should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not just simply repeating what others generations have done. So if you look at the ideas of Jean Piaget and Paulo Freire, there is a very close connections of how actually the idea of constructivism that is being propagated all over the education system right now is actually inherited from the ideas of Paulo Freire. That's why applied theater as a critical pedagogy makes more meaningful. So that the learning becomes more meaningful, more holistic, and it makes it's not just a linear, one-dimensional way, but it makes meaning with the real social world we're living in. And how do we make use of what we have learned in the real context? With this, I would like to talk about the applied theater facilitations that I've been doing in teachers' educations. So before I start this one, I would like to tell a little bit about my experience of how I shift from a very mainstream theater to this applied theater facilitations. Applied theater as in like in educational context, is because while I was in INSTI, we've been doing a lot of theater, and then when I come back to Nagaland, I thought that since there will be no this is a little disturbed. When I come back to Nagaland, I thought that since there's no theater culture in Nagaland, it will be so easy to start a theater group, and then I can make a living through theater. But when I realized that theater, especially in a community where there's no theater, actually it's more harder to implement that one. And then to start that one, it has to start from our own identity, our own culture. So in this process, I've learned about this applied theater as an umbrella term for applying theater in community, theater in homes, theater in different social contexts. And then I realized that why didn't I just try to pursue a degree for this applied theater? And fortunately, I was awarded the scholarship. I went in to study this applied theater. So after come back, my idea was just to apply whatever I've learned in my course, to apply in our educational systems. Because when we talk about applied theater, we as we have been saying, that it's mainly focused on transformations. So in order to do transformations, I believe education is the main platform. Education is the most should be the main platform to facilitating different ways of thinking, different ways of learning, so that the students can grow up critically and consciously of how they are growing up by connecting with the community and society. So that's why I started to develop my practices, especially in the educational context. So while I was doing my practice in teachers' educations, I developed certain projects. Like the first one is enhancing professional competency. This is a course under BAID course, where the idea of this is to develop the best version of themselves as a teacher before even they become a teacher. And as a teacher, it's very important to identify our own weaknesses and strengths. And so this under this enhancing professional competency, there are like small projects that I've initiated: understanding self, learn from me, community engagement, drama and art and educations, which I've with this title of the project, I've done small work which I will share with you all. Now, to I think it's not only in applied theater or education or in performance, but today it's not about directing or like doing a spectacular performance, but I think critical facilitation is very important. So critical facilitations means when you do facilitation, you seek to understand the power relations that exists within and beyond a workshop. Yeah, critical facilitation means being you are being aware of yourself. You know, the process of being critically aware is the key, and which is also called the reflexive practitioners. So you don't impose your ideas. It's we all know that the very command saying that it's critical facilitation is a diversion from student teacher centered to student centered, right? So when we do facilitations, we are just like a helper. We are just like a side coach, and we try to go to the level. We learned, we collaborate. We use the word forces, collaborations, creativity, communications to facilitate the workshops. So when in the practice of applied theater, critical facilitation is very important in order to bring out the essence of the applied theater. So the first project I'll be showing you all will be the understanding self. So this is a project I had with digital training programs, and where I tried bring out different methodologies, and this one is called Wave of Life. So I brought a ball of yarn, and then we pass it around the yarn. The idea of this methodologies was to understand how the self is connected with community. So after this, when the yarn was passed to each and every person's, we cut down all these yarns, the connection to whip, and then all the small pieces we took back to our homes. So at the end of the semester, we bring back. So the idea was just to bring out how community is being constructed and how each and every one is a part of life, and especially as a teachers, educators, how important it is for them to know, to understand the inclusion, exclusions in the dynamics in the construction of community as well, because they are the teachers for the future, because they are studying in paid college means, which means that they are training to become professional teachers. And so it's very important that they are like a seats. They will be traveling to different parts of the Nagaland or different parts of Northeast India, different parts of India to teach once they complete the course. So it's very important to have the right way of looking at education, delivering educations from a holistic approach. So this is one exercise that I've done with them, and this is called Ecoblasting. This is also another exercise. So we all inflate a balloon, and then in that balloon we write down our own weaknesses, because all of us, we have egos, right? And I think ego is one thing that really obstruct us in bringing out the very best version of ourselves. So what we do was we inflate the balloon, and then we write our own weaknesses, and then it was open. If somebody wants to share it, we share it, and we are enclosed with a small pin, right? So it was a process of self-understanding and self-development before they even become called himself as also a teacher. And this is also another exercise that I have called tailored educators. So I asked them to bring a small piece of fabric, and we try to patch it up together and then make a bundle of fabric to represent how a community is built. And then in that small egg, we all write down different points that they want to accomplish. Because this was done when the first semesters were being oriented, inducted in the first week. So this was a process development of like how will you be training themselves for in the 2 years paid program, and how will you what are the principles and what are the aims that they are looking for to achieve in this 2 years programs. So this was also a small exercise that I've done with them. And the next project was go learn from me towards sustainable development education. So this basically was to learn each other's skills. So we collaborated different skills. Like some people are good at carpentry, some people are good at paintings. So we try to learn each other's skills, and with that in that learning skills, we try to focus on education towards a sustainable development. Because into this crisis, it's not we're just going to be only on government jobs, but it's also very important to live sustainably, to live independently, which actually is being not taught in our schools from our early childhood. It's just, of course, it's implementing right now, but it could happen easier for all of us if such vocational trainings were being inducted from early schools. So in this, they collaborate each other to learn each other and try to learn from each other. But well, when we were doing this one, we also tried to keep in mind that we try to use local resources which were available in our locality, and not to go for very expensive materials, but recycle material, whatever that is available at home and whatever that is not using. So these are what they have made, and this was focused more on hard skills development. Creative recycling. Now the next project that I've done was community engagement, living hope. So after that project, we decided to reach out to prisoners, inmates, and just do some workshops with them and give a living hope. The idea of restorative justice. So we prepared different programs every day, and then we visited. And then when we were visiting, also we visited with the hope that, with an aim that just how would they prevent themselves when they come out, and how would you reclaim their lives. So a lot of it's also very how do I say, a very vulnerable space, because when you engage, when you do a lot of facilitations, we don't know in this kind of it's in prison workshops, prison spaces, what kind of reactions you will get. So there was a lot of tension that happened when we do the facilitations, and obviously there are a lot of security systems and a lot of things were not allowed inside. So with very limited resources, we were able to at least facilitate a couple of inmates in one of our district jail in Mukokchung. I think in our webinar as well, there are people who have expertise on prison and theater and restorative justice, so they will talk more elaboratively on this prison theater. But what we did was, how do we, as a teachers, educators, how do we also reach out to a community and extend our help in as small as we can, and give a living hope to them. That was our main motive. And this is also another community project where we visited a children's home. So playfulness, as we all know, is one of the key practice in applied theater. We all have a misconception that playing, ends when we enter the age of puberty. By the age of 12, 13, we try to embody that masculine identity, and we don't, we hate that, but when it comes to learning and applied theater practice, playfulness is very important, because it's when you play, you the real person that we embody, that we carry, is exploited. And the game that we played was, we designed, it's called the Balance of Life, and it implies that, since they are all orphans staying in the children's home, they have different problems. They don't have parents, but how do they balance in life? That through this exercise, we try to give an idea of what how do they balance your life as they grow up. Yeah. So in applied theater, especially in theater and education and drama education, when we do a game, we don't just do a game or activities. It has some motive behind it. Why do we do a game? So it's always meticulously designed to instill something through that game. This is our students teaching chorus to these children. Okay, and this is another project I initiated after the lockdown has started in March. So what happened was this: during this lockdown, we were unable to come to our traditional classrooms and have classes, and especially in a light theater context, we need it's more very physical, and we need active spaces. But going to a virtual world was very different. It was, but slowly then I started to think, how do I use this my practice in the virtual world, in such times. And then I just tried to come up with an idea called the digital education in times of isolations. So basically the idea of this project was to ask the students of different pedagogies paper. For example, if you're from MITS, you can pick up any content, any concept, and try to explain that through a video, through a digital media. It can be a animation, it can be a voiceover, it can be any form of video making. And this also design keeping in mind that we don't know how long this lockdown will continue, and if it continues, this will be our new normal. So in this new normal, the teachers' education also need to adapt. They should also learn to use the virtual world, this digital education, in order to reach out to the students who are stuck and stranded at home without learning anything. So each students were assigned to develop video, digital video, on the particular subject that they are teaching in the schools. So this one video that oh sorry, this is one video that I've collected. There were a lot of videos, but I thought sharing this would let's give an idea of how this is actually helped out the people in the community here by spreading. After we made this video, we circulated in different WhatsApp group, and actually, we also get good comments that at least they were able to understand the concepts which were not able to explain in the classrooms. So I'll just share this video.
Hello children, from this video, we will learn about profit and loss. One day, a boy went to the market, and there he saw two beautiful toys hanging outside the shop. He then decided to buy them, thinking that he will sell them when he goes back to his village. He then went to the shop and bought the toys. The teddy bear, he was able to buy it with rupees 300, and the zebra toy for rupees 200. After buying the toys, he then went back to his village. He then tried to sell them to his creatures, and he was able to sell them. The teddy bear, he was able to sell it for rupees 500. That means he was able to sell it for more price than the price that he had bought it with. So that means he had a profit in selling the teddy bear. But the zebra toy, he was able to sell it for rupees 150 only. That means he was able to sell it with a lesser price than the price he had bought it with. So he had a loss in selling the zebra toy. From this video, we learned that if selling price is greater than cost price, that means if we are able to sell an item for more price than we had actually bought it with, then it is a profit. And if selling price is less than cost price, then it is a loss.
So I would like to end by quoting from Paulo Freire. This is one of my favorite quotes. Education does not change the world. Education changes people, and people change the world. So applied theater has different dimensions of practices. I'm coming back, rephrasing the first slide that I've used. The intention of how you want to use is very important, and you can always develop your own practices. And thank you.
Thank you, Tem, and friends, you can put your questions in chat box. Tem, there is a question from Roshan Rangbhumi. What is the difference